We are live, sir.
Everyone, as usual, Saturday 11 a.m. So the webinar, it was the dream of Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, that we should go with 75 destination with the tour guide. And the tour guide, whenever we choose the destination, we choose the best speaker for that destination. But the last time, mm, Mr. Hari Sravanan, he shows us, the Assam. Now, today, he is going to show us Nagaland. And the Mr. Harish Ravanan is the personality among the guide. You can give him any topic, any destination, and that webinar will be the best webinar forever. So we are lucky to have Mr. Harish Ravanan. And the last time, due to some technical issue, last part of the Assam was left, and we already assured all of our the attendee, our guest, that we will start from the place where we stop. So the last part of the Assam at first we are going to touch, then we will enter into Nagaland. So here the Mr. Harish Saravanan, the stage is yours. Come forward. We are eagerly waiting for you. Mr. Harish Saravanan.
Thank you, Ajay Singh ji. Good morning, everyone, and apologies for the technical glitch last time. And this time I'll continue with where I left in Assam, and then we will see Nagaland. So welcome once again. I hope you're able to see the slide presentation. So we shall continue from Assam and then go on to Nagaland. In Assam, what we left out was a destination called Sivsagar. Sivsagar, formerly named as Rangpur, was the capital of the Ahom kingdom for at least a period of for a century between the late 17th and early and the 18th century. And that was the last phase, or rather, this was the time when before the Ahom kingdom were absorbed by the British. So in Sibsagar, which earlier known as Rangpur, it's got some interesting monuments over there. The name Sibsagar gets its name is due to this large tank from which, and the Shiva Dole, that is a Shiva temple which you could see in the background. And this Shiva temple, if you notice inside, is like more like a natural spring. It is from this, according to local legend, it is from this particular spring that the Siv Sagar, the tank, gets filled up. And apart from the temple, here you go, there is this Rangar. Rangar is a two-storied pavilion which was used by the Ahom kings to watch um, heroic fights like sword fights, then cock fights, and so on. It was more like a entertainment pavilion for the home kings and the royalty. Followed by that, you got the Tatalgar. Tatalgar is an interesting monument because of its underground palace, a network of underground palace, and of course, you got level above ground. The portion you're seeing, the underground level, has been excavated by the Archaeological Survey of India, and it is known for some amazing brick masonry work and some terracotta masonry work like the one you see. Now these are slowly fading away despite due to the weather conditions, because as you're familiar, Assam has got some northeast of India, especially Assam, and many all the states have got severe monsoon, which is very seasonal. Literally about 4 to 5 months in a year is drenched with rain. And on the top, you got this amazing structure, which is in ruins, of course, which was destroyed by the invading Burmese army in the late 1800s. Followed by this, you got the Devi Dole. The Devi Dole is another structure. See, this type of architecture is known as the Neelchal style of architecture. You are familiar with the Nagara style, which is of North India, then the Dravida style, which is the South Indian temple architecture style. Here in Assam, you will be seeing the Neelchal architecture style, which is very much of the Ahom influence. And this is the palace complex of the Ahom kings. Here you see a closer view of the palace complex. And then there's another tank which is just a little outskirts of Sivasagar, that is the Joy Sagar tank. On the Joy Sagar tank, on the banks of the tank is the Joy Sagar temple, which is another Shiva temple. Now, each of the dole is a temple in Assamese language. Each dole has got its own unique set of architecture. Now, this is something you get to see only in Assam. You don't see it in any other places of Northeast India. And finally, an interesting monument is there on National Highway 37. That is the Dung Stone Bridge. You see this particular bridge over here. This bridge is on the National Highway 37. And this bridge is still in use, built by the Ahoms in the middle of the 1700s. Now you could see the kind of architecture they were skilled in, and the bridge which is standing even this time, it's about what, 400 odd years now. And a little further away from Sivasagar is about 35 kilometers southeast of Sivasagar is a site called Charodeo. Charodeo, it is known as also Charodeo Maidam. You're all familiar about the Egyptian pharaohs building pyramids for their kings and royalties. Similar way, the Ahom kings had built these kind of burial chambers for their kings and their royalty. There are about 30 tombs of the Ahom kings and the royalties over here. And there is also a recent museum over here on the site. So this is an interesting place which you could see. Now, since we have finished Assam, I would like to share with you about Assamese cuisine. A typical Assamese cuisine consists of rice. It's basically rice. Then it will be fish, lots of green vegetables, pork. Pork, especially among Assamese, is common, except for the people in the Satras. That is Vaishnavite. In Vaishnavite tradition, it's a taboo for meat. Some Vaishnavites consume only fish, not any other kind of non-vegetarian food, and it is more of greens with it. Here you see, and the fish they use over here is freshwater fish. And Assamese cuisine is in such a way that it has got very little oil, and the oil they use is mustard oil, and they don't cook it too much in the fire, except for boiling rice. They don't cook it too much in the fire. For instance, all these are slow cooked with very little amount of oil, and it is kept in the heat for a lesser time compared to what you see in mainland, that is in North Indian cuisine or South Indian cuisine. And another interesting thing with an Assamese meal will come is a species of lemon which you find in Assam known as the kaji nimu. Kaji nimu, it's pretty longer compared to the other lemon you get it across India. The not the round ones is more like oval shaped. And this is a typical Sattvic meal which is served to the Satra inmates in the Satras across Assam. So this will again contains of greens, seasonal vegetables, then you have got rice, lentils, and so on. And another staple in Assam is the freshwater fish. You get these small fishes like this one, which they use, and they make a lot of curries known as pitika. Pitika is a thick curries which are made using vegetables. Sometimes they use it with they make it with these small fishes. And there is a delicacy among the Mishing tribes in Majuli Island where they make something called the fish pitika. Fish pitika is not the whole fish, only the intestines of the small fish is used for that particular curry. An important beverage in Assam or across northeast India, you notice is the rice beer. It is known as Has, Apo, or Along. It depends on the region. Has is the term used by the Ahoms, And then Apo and Along is the term used by various Assamese and tribal communities. Rice beer is made only with using rice. It's a long process of fermentation. And the British had introduced a distilled form of rice beer, which is very potent. And that is illegal in Assam. The distilled version of rice beer is illegal to produce. But this particular Apong in the rice beer, the common rice beer, it is produced in any given home in a village in Assam, and they don't sell it. They don't sell it commercially. What they do is they serve it to the guests who visit home in a brass cup like this, and also they share it among themselves in the village when there is a festival happening. Either it is a marriage or any kind of life cycle rituals of the people performed over there during celebration or the purification ceremony after the childbirth and so on. And here was one of the documentation I had done among community in nearby Guwahati. They are known as the Patiraba group of tribe. And here you could see the rice beer making process where the cooked rice is fermented overnight in a large vessel. And what they do is they keep pouring water into this particular vessel and they keep remixing it again, on and off. And finally, you get a thick, whitish color liquid, which is rice beer. And please remember, rice beer is not as potent as a conventional alcohol and so on. It is, they consume it for also nutritional value. For instance, the Missing tribe in Majuli Island, I have noticed, they use these rice cakes. These rice cakes are made using not just cooked rice, but also about 39 different types of herbs, and they put it as a fermenting material into the fermenting rice, which gives in, and it is not something which is alcoholic or addictive in nature compared to the Indian made foreign liquor which is available in stores across the country. And this again, they use it for nutritional value. So, friends, now let's get into how do we get into the Northeast. See, Assam is well connected through airports. The four important airports are Guwahati, then you got Tezpur, Jorhat, and Dibrugarh. Dibrugarh is the northernmost airport which is connected, well connected across India, and trains are connected. And if you are interested in taking the longest train journey in India, you have to take the Dibrugarh Kanyakumari Vivek Express, which starts from Kanyakumari and ends in Dibrugarh, the northernmost point in Assam. And here, this covers about 4,200 plus kilometers, which passes through about 8 states and covers, and it is a duration of 79 hours. But it is not just 79 hours, but sometimes it can get delayed due to signal issues. And this is the eighth longest train journey you can have in the world. So if you are interested in train travel, it's a good experience because you get to meet a lot of people. There are three groups of people I've come across in these train journeys are the Indian Armed Forces personnel, students who come down south to South India to study, and you got the patients, people who come to visit the Apollo hospitals in Chennai and in Hyderabad. These are the three groups of people who travel in this. So, ladies and gentlemen, now let's move on to the next state we are going to see in Northeast, that is Nagaland. Nagaland is known as the land of festivals. See, the term Naga is a term, various versions give various stories, but one of the common versions is that Naga in Burmese language is means people with pierced ear. Why Burmese language? Because the Naga tribes, which they are also there in our neighbor Myanmar, and Nagaland shares its longest boundary, international boundary with Myanmar. And you got on the south you got Manipur, and on the west you got Assam, and in north you got Arunachal Pradesh. And Nagaland is known as the land of festivals. Here is a map of Nagaland, which is listing out about 17 Naga tribal groups which occupy each particular district. Now, our travel will be traveling through the Dimapur district, Kohima, and further we will go on to the northernmost part of Nagaland, that is the Mon district, which is inhabited by the Konyak Nagas. So let's get into it. And here is one of the studies done during colonial administration on the Naga migration. See, the Naga people have been, their migration, they trace it from the Naga hills, and there are some sacred spots in the Naga hills where they claim they had their origins over there. And some tribes like the Konyak Nagas and other Nagas who are also spread out towards Burma. And this particular international border in some places is a little bit porous because of the thickly forested areas. Now, this was an advantage for a long time for the insurgent groups in the state. Now, the Naga people were totally isolated from mainland India. They used to go to the plains, especially in the Sivasagar region, to trade with the Ahom kingdom. And the Ahom kingdom was in cordial relationship with the various Naga tribes because of trade again. And if you notice, what are they trading? For many of the tribes in Northeast India in the ancient past, two important commodities were in today's terms like gold for them. And the currency they used to use is the Crowy shells. The Crowy shells they used to source it from the Bengal region, then the coastal region of Myanmar, and salt. Salt was something which is very important for them in terms of currency. So salt they used to source it from Tibetan plateau, and again from the coastal regions. And there is, which I will be sharing with you in Arunachal Pradesh, where they make an indigenous variety of salt using a plant. It is not the sea salt or the rock salt which is commonly available in the bazaar. But only in Arunachal you get a variety of salt. In one particular region you get a variety of salt which is extracted from a plant. And they used to trade with this, and also they used to trade in beads. So in among the Naga people, the beads which are worn by both men and women is a prized possession. It is passed from mother to daughter, father to son, and so on. Of course, today they have the plastic replicas available in the bazaars and so on. And Nagas, the belief system of the Nagas prior to the advent of Christianity, where they were massively converted to Christianity when the British took over the Naga hills, they were more of animists who believed in the spirit world. So they have their own ancestor worship and so on, and there are some elements of that which they have still retained. And Nagas are fiercely independent tribes. Though they were in relationship with the Ahoms, they were not only, they were in commercial contact with them, but no kingdom, whether it is the Ahoms or the Meiteis of Manipur, were over control of the Nagas. The Nagas were autonomous, they had their own local governance. Each Naga tribe has got its own king, the chief, and their own territories which are demarcated. And Nagas became infamous across the world due to the colonial documentation and the study as headhunters, which I'll be sharing it with you later. See, what happens is when the British started to access Naga hills from their bases in Assam, they immediately went on to the expeditions which were focusing only on land survey and taxing the people. And this one, the Nagas did not like it because for them, the taxation process, everything they had it within themselves. So they did not like any outsider coming and asking them tax for what their whole logic was, why should I pay tax to you? You don't belong to my place. So what happens is one of the first British expeditions happened in the 1800s, and whenever an expedition happened, the British administrative representative was either killed by the Naga people or by his own sentries. And one of the severe resistance was faced in a village called Konoma. Now, this village is known for this fort, the Konoma fort, And the resistance in this village was between 1850 to 79, where, and this fort is in the Angami Naga. Angami Nagas are a group of Naga tribe. They are predominantly in the Kohima region. This village is near to Kohima, the capital of Nagaland, administrative capital of Nagaland. And this fort was, the English tried to seize this fort, but they were not successful for about more than 20 odd years. Finally, the British had to get into a treaty for peace with the Angami Nagas and they left them out. And at the same time, similarly, they had also war with a nearby district called Kukrema. Kukrema was a village which was by another group of Naga tribes. They also gave a severe resistance. And in both cases, the Nagas did not lose to the British. Despite the British having superior weaponry, the Nagas were very well skilled in guerrilla warfare and they knew the terrain better than the British administrators. So finally, and this also coincided with the first war of independence in India, that is in 1857, the Sipahi Mutiny. And that was the time when the British took a drastic change in approach of administration over here. So what the British did is they made a pact with the American Baptist missionaries who are based in Assam, and they started to send these missionary expeditions. Some of the first converts to Christianity, the Naga converts to Christianity, were the traders who are visiting Sivasagar. When the British started to convert the Naga people, they started to segregate the village on religion lines. Like the Christians were separated from the non-Christians. Now, this kind of a partiality hurt the Naga sentiment, and many of the Naga tribal groups started to convert en masse into Christianity. And the missionaries also had an advantage. What they did is they started to take the Naga oral myths of their origin and they started to interpret it in the biblical terms. So that is where the Naga tribal groups fell for the conversion process initiated by the American Baptist missionary. Because today, 80% of Nagaland is Baptist. So here is one of the old demarcation of the map of Northeast India. Here you could see above Manipur, they just mentioned it as the Naga Hills and the Naga tribes. So the present Nagaland was known as Naga Hills District by the British. And one of the first instances of freedom movement or the resistance to the British administration happens in Nagaland in the 1920s onwards. It was initiated by this tribal leader known as Jadu, Jadu, Jadunang. Jadunang was, again, he was falsely convicted of murdering Manipuri traders and he was hanged to death. And later on, his movement was carried on by Rani Guiding Liu. Rani Guiding Liu, she gets a connotation as Rani given to her by Nehru. She was imprisoned in various prisons in Northeast India and she was finally released after our independence. And finally, here is something which you see a rare photograph of the first Prime Minister receiving gifts from the Naga people. He is also wearing the headgear of the Nagas, the shawl they have worn, and they made a unique tricolor flag on their own loom, and couple of carved mugs were offered to him. This was part of the Naga process. And Naga nationalism takes its form from the the First World War, when the British recruited the Naga tribal people into as coolies, as porters, and they were stationed in France along with the Indian troops. The British purposefully made sure that the Nagas did not interact with the other Indians in the British army and they were segregated. Now, this was a blessing in disguise for the Nagas because so far they were all segregated in terms of various ethnic identities. This one gave them a sense of unity. And finally, in 2018, they formed something called as the Naga Club, which was encouraged by the British. Now, the Naga Club was the origin for the Naga nationalist movement, which was initiated in 1930s by one Angami known as Angami Zapu Piso. Zapu Piso wanted to have a separate country with a separate electorate and so on. And he declared independence for Nagaland on August 14, 1947. And finally, the problem was the then Indian government, like the British government, were did not give much priority to northeast of India. So it was gave very much like a stepmotherly treatment. And if you notice in the 1950s up to 1980s, the Naga people boycotted elections over there. So only later on, and due to insurgency, and then the Naga nationalist movement broke away, and then it in 1980s it took up on an armed struggle because the 1975 Shillong Treaty was not accepted by many sections of the Naga national movement, and finally an organization called the Nationalist Socialist Council of Nagaland, called NSCN, took up arms, and they were pretty notorious in the northeast region. And they were trained by our friendly neighbor China, arms supplied by them. They took refuge in the border areas of Myanmar, and they were also people who were supported by the drug trade, which was prominent in the golden triangle region of Southeast Asia. And they used to start to, for a long period of time till about 2014, sorry, till 2015, till the latest 2015 Naga Peace Accord. They were extracting, you had to pay a fee, whether you build a road or you give a gas line, or if you want to have a dealership and of a petrol pump, so on. Like they used to extract 12% of the monthly earnings of the government employees, 5% from shopkeepers, and so on. But today, this particular insurgency movement is going down because the Naga youth who have traveled across India for education and so on, they also want to have a pie of the development. And this particular map you see is the Naglim. Naglim is a term used by the insurgents in Nagaland, which they call it as the Greater Nagaland. And the title for and the manifesto also calls Naglim for Christ. Now, this is comprising of portions of Manipur, Assam, and Arunachal. So, this is a very much contested thing and also part of Myanmar. So, this is a brief history of Nagaland. Now, let us enter Nagaland. We'll be entering Nagaland through the town of Dimapur. And please remember, for traveling in Nagaland, if you're an Indian traveler, you need something called an inner line permit. Inner line permit, you can get it done in the entry point. All you need is a passport size photo and your Aadhaar card, and it is valid for a period of 30 days. If you need an extension, you can do it again. If you are a foreigner, you want to enter into Nagaland, you need to register in the Foreign Registration Office, which is in the entry town. In Dimapur, one of the attractions, one of the sites you need to visit is the Kachri Rajbari ruins. The Kachri dynasty, where the dynasty who ruled Assam and portions of Nagaland between the 10th to the 13th century. Here you see this particular entrance gateway, which is a beautiful brick masonry work. And inside is something mysterious or unsolved puzzle, you can call it. These are not shrines, non-memorial pillars, but these pillared domes, these carved pillared domes, which are there in 3 rows, are the ruins which are of the Kachri Rajbari kingdom. And these, they don't know what was the purpose of these. They are not sure that they are for religious purpose, and they were not meant as memorials. And the locals also call this as chess pieces. Of course, there is no chess, it was not for chess pieces also. And this particular ruins is now, only in recent times it was fenced and taken care of. Otherwise, people come in over here, like these young boys you see, they'll come here to play a game of cards. Now, from Dimapur, we'll be traveling to Kohima. We'll be climbing up the hills. And Kohima, the main time Kohima is crowded with tourists is during the Hornbill Festival. As we climb into Kohima, you could see this freshly plucked pineapple. And for your information, off late for the last 3 4 years, Nagaland is now becoming the fruit hub of Northeast. So there has been a startup which has been working with local farmers across Nagaland to cultivate the citrus fruits and also pineapples. And you see in the local market, you could see the local wildlife. See, in Nagaland, they consume anything and everything that is in meat. Here on the left, you could see the Bengal slender loris, which was hunted by the local population and sold in the market. Then a bird, and then you got a civet cat. So here we are in Kohima town. Kohima town is the administrative capital, and the largest town in Nagaland is Dimapur. Here, Kohima has got an historic connection is with World War II. That is the battle. It is famously known as Battle of Kohima. According to military historians, it is known as the Stalingrad of East. Now, for long, the Japanese were doing propaganda in India about how the Indians are dragged into the Great War by the Western powers like the British, the Americans, and the French. So this is one of the propaganda posters which Japanese used to put out. You could see that it is there in Hindi and in Bengali also. And this one was the main purpose of the Japanese offensive in Northeast India is to curtail the American airdrops to the Chiang Kai-shek's army in China. And they used the bases, the Americans had built air bases in Assam to supply weapons and rations to the Chinese army. So the Japanese, after they took over Burma for a brief period, that is former Burma, for a brief period, they planned on a offensive on Northeast India, especially crossing the Chindwin River over here. Their main aim was to take over Imphal. Imphal was an important military center for the British, and it was on the supply line. And they made into three waves. The first wave goes on to Kohima. The idea was to take over Kohima, come down to Imphal, and from there go down towards the Brahmaputra Valley. And this was the offensive, the operation, the Japanese named this as the Operation Yugo. It was launched in April 1944 and it went on till June 1944. Here is the old photograph of the aerial photograph of the Kohima Ridge. The present day Kohima town this is a spot, and here is the spots which the British wanted to take. When the Japanese came in, they were helped by the Indian National Army, that is the Azad Hind Fauj. There are two battalions, the third and the fourth, the second and the third battalion led by Colonel Shah Nawaz. Their main objective is to clear the way to the British, so to the Japanese troops, go on and make sure that they go all the way to Brahmaputra and release. Netaji's Subhash's main idea was to cut off the British from the eastern boundary, international boundary of India, so that he he wanted an Asian power to get hold of that particular region, so that from there they could easily take over across India. And as you are familiar, his motto was "Chalo Delhi." So but INA was poorly equipped, and they were not. They did not want to engage in the main battle. Their whole objective was to do covert warfare and also gather intelligence. And here is a portion of the Indians in the British Army. And this is at the last stages of the war. And in this war, and in this siege, the Battle of Kohima, about 16,000 plus British army, that is including Indians, were dead, wounded, or missing, and more than about 60,000 Japanese troops were dead and wounded, mainly not because of the war, but because of disease and starvation. Because the Japanese uh, launched this particular operation with a supply of 3 months of food stock. When they entered, they also come across the villages earlier. In the first stages, the Naga people were happy to host the Japanese because, unlike the British, they were not forceful. They paid for what they took from them, and very importantly, unlike the British, they did not go for the Naga women. So that was the respect the Naga people had with the Japanese troops coming in. And here is the contingent of the Gurkha regiment who are taking a stock of the Japanese weaponry. And here you could see the British soldiers signing on captured Japanese flags. As a souvenir, they take it back. One of the colonels with the Punjab regiment, one of the Naga veterans of the Battle of Kohima. In Kohima, an important site you have to visit is the the Kohima and the road, that is the National Highway NH2 connecting Kohima to Imphal, which is also the Asian Highway number 1, is a historic road, and it is on this road that the Indian National Army and the Japanese army had marched into Kohima and also towards Imphal. Here they have a war museum, which is there in near Kohima, which was inaugurated, if I'm not wrong, in 2008 or 10. And this particular war museum has got some of the replicas and the collection from this particular offensive, the Battle of Kohima. And here is the war memorial. See, the war memorial, you could see a portion over here, which is a tennis court. The last stage of the Battle of Kohima was the Battle of the tennis court, where the British and Japanese soldiers had hand-to-hand combat. And today it has been converted into a war memorial managed by the Commonwealth War Commission. And here you see the memorial built on the tennis court. Whose tennis court was it? There's a question. This tennis court was in front of the governor's residence. Now the governor's residence is no more. And it is on top of a ridge. And here you could see a lot of memorials for the fallen soldiers. Here is a memorial for the soldier and whose name was not known. And then you got Muslim soldier from the Punjab regiment, the Rajput regiment, Angami soldier from the Assam regiment who was from Nagaland, followed by Kuki soldier again from Nagaland who belonged to the Assam Rifles. Then Gurkha soldier from the Gurkha Rifles. And also there is a memorial for one of the coolies and an Royal Air Force gunner and a wireless operator. Then you got a Burmese soldiers memorial over here because that time the Burmese soldiers also, they had their divisions under the British Army. And also an soldier far away from Africa, from East Africa, who had participated in this war at Battle of Kohima. And here is a wall dedicated to the soldiers who were not in the version of getting burial. And they comprise from the Madras regiment to the Rajput regiment. Across India, many soldiers of Indian origin participated, and this memorial is for them. And this is one thing which is very famous over there. When you go home, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrow, we gave ours today. The memorial, that is a war memorial dedicated to the memory of the 2nd Division of the Indian British Army. So next we see is the Hornbill Festival. The Hornbill Festival is conducted by the state of Nagaland to commemorate the statehood which was granted to them on the 1st of December in 1963, and they were merged with the Indian Union on this day. To commemorate this, they celebrate the Hornbill Festival, which is a 10-day festival, which is from the 1st of November to the 1st of December to the 10th of December. And this is one of the star attractions for tourists visiting Nagaland during the whole year. And unfortunately, the Nagaland government has been spending all their resources only for this festival. But of course, there are people who go to explore the southern region of Nagaland around around Kohima to mainly for trekking. And this particular Hornbill Festival is conducted in the Naga Heritage Village in a small valley, in a valley which is known as Kigwema, about 10 kilometers south of Kohima, which is again on the National Highway number 2, uh, which is a highway leading to Imphal, the historic World War II highway. And this one has got the central open air theatre, amphitheatre, where you got all the performances happening, dance performances. Then you got an indoor pavilion, which has got various stalls of which sell artifacts by the Naga groups. And there are about 17 morongs. This valley, you notice all these huts are 17 morongs. Morongs are the term used for the youth dormitory. Each Naga tribe has got a morong, and people in the morong, they do have their activities over here. They put up food stalls. They serve their local cuisine over there, and they do. And it's more like a village atmosphere, which is recreated by the people who are accommodating themselves in the morong. And the day one, you notice the each Naga tribe they come, they are given their designated area to sit. They gather over here. This is the ideal time for you to see the Naga tribal people in their uh, costume and their amazing beadwork necklaces and so on. And it is inaugurated by the Chief Minister of Nagaland and the Governor of Nagaland. And it is officially opened by the heads, or the you could call it the kings, select kings of certain Naga tribes, like these three kings who opened up the who formally inaugurate the Hornbill Festival, or make it commence. Once it commences, all Naga groups they come, they take over the open air pavilion and they do their performances. It goes on. Then on the first day, during the Hornbill Festival, the state government of Nagaland invites for various other tribal groups in Northeast India to come and showcase their art forms. Like for instance, there is a group from Assam who make this, who have this performance, followed by a group from Manipur who perform the war dance, and then you got a group from Tripura who does famous acrobatic dance performance, and there is a tug of war done by the Mizo people from Mizoram, dance performance by a tribal group from Arunachal Pradesh. And here is one of the morongs. This morongs belongs to the Sumi Naga group. And this morong, you notice, they will be having stalls serving their particular tribal dishes and so on. And also they have their local textile, which they put it up for sale. And these textiles are really got some amazing designs, which is sought out across the world. One of the newer morongs is a Kachri morong, which was built sometime in 2010, if I'm not wrong. And in this morong, apart from the performances, after each group's performance, the people they go gather in the morong, and they create an atmosphere which is like natural for how they are in their village. Like for this group of Nagas tribe, they were doing they were practicing their folk songs, which they were going to perform in about 2 hours time or something. And there was these Chang Nagas who were performing on the long drum. See, this long drum is something which is an identity of Nagas, which they use it as more as a communication process. When they have to, when there is a calamity in the village, the announcement is made by drumming on this particular drum. And here you got another group of Nagas who have gathered around the fireplace and just talking among themselves. Here is another group of Nagas who have been, who make a small performance before their main performance in front of the audience. And here you could see and interact with various Naga people, Naga tribes. Here are the Kuki Naga boys and girls in their morong. And apart from the performances, they also have sport for the traditional games are played. Like for instance, there is a competition among the Kuki Nagas on the tops. They play with tops, and also it's like what we do in the mainland. It's about who breaks the most number of tops, and they have wrestling competitions and performances. Apart from this, they also do performances of their dances, which they perform during their natural context of their sowing and harvest festivals. Various Naga groups give various performances, and they are dressed in their traditional attire. And they are still women still make these traditional attire in their portable looms. Here is a group of Naga women who who make a performance of the songs. They sing during the winnowing festival after their harvest. And they also do this reenactment of warfare. See, as I told you earlier, Naga tribal groups were infamous for being known as headhunters. Now, that tradition is long gone now. Once they were converted to Christianity, the British had put a ban on headhunting, followed by the missionaries who had said that it was a sin, and so on. So they perform these war dances, and of course, they use these. The Naga tribal folks, they have these musket rifles, which they still use only for hunting purpose. So this is something which the local government has permitted. Here is a Naga young man who gives out a war cry. And among this is one of the interesting things is the headhunting raid, which they do a mock raid, where here you could see them. They have taken over the enemies over there, and instead of the real head, they have made it as a make-believe head using wood. Yeah, these are the rituals connected with the rites, which is connected with the headhunting, former headhunting among the Naga tribe. Now, this is reenacted to show this. And another main purpose of the festival is for the Naga people to come back to their roots. Because of late, the growing sentiment was that after their conversion to Christianity and the missionary education, the Nagas have felt that they have lost their root. So there has been, you could call it as a renaissance of Naga cultural revival. And another interesting things happen like here is a group of Konyak Nagas who are famous for eating fire, literally fire. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, they take these burning logs and they eat it like it is a what do you say, like a popsicle or something. Now, this is something as a feat they perform over here. Now, this is not yearly. And it's not that the same group keep performing for all Hornbill festivals. No. Each village of a particular Naga tribe are given turn and they participate in the Hornbill festival in rotation basis. So what you see this time, for instance, this one, I saw it in 2011, this particular performance of the Konyak Nagas eating fire, and this was not repeated later on. Another interesting competition which happens over here during the Hornbill Festival is the pork eating and the chili eating festival. Nagaland is known for the Naga Jolokia. It is also known as the Booth Jolokia in Assam. It grows only in Assam, Manipur, Nagaland, and Arunachal Pradesh. Now, this chili is world's hottest chili, which is about a million plus Scoville heat units. And in 2015, the Defense Research Development Organization had created a bomb using this particular chili, which is used as a thing to flush out terrorists from their hideout and so on. Now, this competition, see, they begin with about 10 chilies. It is open to everybody. You can notice that there is a doctor in tow, and also anybody can participate. There are women who participate into it and all. And trust me, a small bite will it is too hot. That's the only thing I can tell you. And another competition happens is fire making competition using the traditional method. What they have to do is they have to make fire using this instrument. and they have to burn the candle which is placed over there, they have to light the candle. The person who does it first is the winner. On the sidelines of the Hornbill Festival, they conduct a World War II rally. Interestingly, the Chief Minister of Nagaland also participates in this, and prizes are distributed for the best dressed contingent and the best replicated contingent and so on. Again, on the sidelines is Miss Nagaland is also conducted. An interesting thing with this particular fashion pageant is the Naga ladies, they dress up in their traditional Naga attire, which has been, how do you say it, which has been redone for the modern taste. So this is a good chance for you to see. Here you could see three different Naga ladies in three different attires of their traditional necklaces, their bead necklaces, and their dresses. And on the final day, each Naga group is requested to bring firewood from their morong. They place it in the circle where there is a big bonfire they build up in the center and in a circle like this. And the Miss Nagaland and the Miss Nagaland runner-up are invited to light the bonfire while the government authorities distribute a huge cake as a commemoration for the upcoming Christmas festival to each tribal elder who had participated in this Hornbill festival. And finally, the Miss Nagaland and the runner-up are called to light the bonfire, and every Naga tribal group who have participated in the Hornbill festival dance around this particular bonfire. And this day it goes on till about 7 at night, and even it is open to the participants, the visitors who come to visit the Hornbill festival. Now we'll see for sites nearby Kohima. Now this is a famous historic village called Kigwema. It was in this village that the Japanese troops first arrived on April 4th, 1944 at 3 p.m. It's still marked over here. And these villagers, when I interacted with them, I realized that they were happy to interact with the Japanese. Like as I informed you earlier, the Japanese paid for whatever they took from the people, and they never went after the Naga women. So this was the respect even now the elders have got of the Japanese troops who visited over there. Here, this village is inhabited by the Angami Naga tribe. Here you could see women who are doing the weaving work and some interesting Angami homes. See, in an entrance of a home, you will find this carved skull of the mithun, which is a semi-domesticated animal, and then you got the sacrificed antelopes and so on, which are used for the feast and during the harvest festival and so on. As you enter the house, how do you measure the wealth of a Naga person? You measure the wealth of the Naga person by the number of animals he has sacrificed for the feast, which is displayed in front of the house, and also the amount of rice storage which is there in the house. Now, this person, coincidentally, I had visited was a person who is rich in terms of Naga tradition, where they had three large cane containers, bamboo containers of rice stock. Now, this could take them for about 2 years. That particular family, they could take it for 2 years, including offering rice for the regular harvest and the sowing feast and during Christmas. And here, you notice in any given Naga home, you will find the meat hanged like this because they smoked first on this portion above the kitchen, where the meat is smoked and then it's stored in earthen vessels. Smoked meat, what they do is they take pieces of it, boil it when they need to cook it. Now, this is the best way to preserve the meat among tribal population in Northeast India, because there's no point in keeping it in refrigeration over there because you don't have proper electric supply. And from this village, you can have a bird's eye view of Kohima city. On the background is the Kohima city, and here you see the terraced rice fields. There are two types of agriculture the Nagas practice. One is terrace rice cultivation, and another is Joom cultivation. Joom cultivation is, you could call it as slash and burn shifting agriculture. I'll come to that later when we go to Konyak Nagas. Now we'll go to North Nagaland, which is the Mon district. Mon district is in the northernmost portion of Nagaland, bordering Assam on the west and Arunachal Pradesh in the north, and you got Myanmar on the east. And an interesting thing is, as you drive towards Mon, you can see boards like this cautioning drivers to be alert because car snatchers would use either drugs or pistol against you. So this is something which you could see across as you are entering to Mon. You can enter through to Mon from Sivasagar in Assam. You have to take road. There's no railway connection over there or airport connection. You have to take the road. And this is a beautiful drive. You'll be coming across these old British period bridges, which are those metal and wood bridges. Here, this, as I told you, is a beautiful drive both during the winter season and during the monsoon. Here is Mon town, the district headquarters. Mon is one of the 250 backward districts of India. And backward because of, for the long period, it was due to the insurgency. And Mon district is a home for the Konyak Naga tribe. The Konyak Nagas are one of the last Naga tribes to have accepted Christianity. It happened till the 1960s and 50s. And they have two important festivals. That is the festival known as the Owling Festival, which happens at the first week of April, which is they offer prayers to their ancestor called Kawang to bless the land for bountiful harvest. And the other festival is a harvest festival known as Lao Ong Mo. Lao Ong Mo harvest festival happens in the between August to September. So once we are in Mon, we'll be going over here. And if you visit the local market over here, you could see some local fruits and vegetables. Like you could see the Naga Jolokia, the Naga chili, which is a bomb, and you got a local yam. This yam you get it only in the Mon region, and a fruit called as Nagatenga. Nagatenga is a sweet sour fruit, which is, you could call it like the gooseberry. It is more like a gooseberry. It is also like a lychee. It's difficult to put it in terms of the conventional fruits what we get in the mainland. And here is a view of the village over here. And let us move inside of the home. You can notice this is the fireplace which is in the center of a Konyak Naga home. And here you will see three or four layers of these racks, which are meant to place your meat and also the corn and the corn which is smoked by the smoke over here. And the smoke also forms a soot on the top portion of the house, which becomes an insulation during the severe winter. And the typical Konyak Naga food consists of, it's all organic, millets and rice. Local rice, the yam, and some of them they've started to cultivate onion in their own kitchen garden, wild tomatoes, and a lot of greens. The green over here, and some of the vegetables, which is something new they have started to consume. And they don't do deep frying. And another thing they use is these rats, which they lay traps in their farms, in their agricultural land. This is how the smoked meat will look like. They will may get it smoked for about 3-4 months period of time, starting from the lower portion of their rack above the fireplace, and they use it and they boil it. It's deeply boiled, and this is instrument they use to make the rice beer, apong over here, and it is slowly cooked. And they don't. The Naga cuisine is got no oil at all. There's no oil, no salt, and no chili at all. If you are a visitor, what they do is they will mix this King Naga Jalokia with salt and give it to you separately. They will not add it with the food. So if you notice, the Naga food or the tribal food you find across in Northeast India is more nutritious. And this is the home of the Ang, Angh. Ang is the chief or the chief of the particular village, or you could call him as a king. Now, the Ang's house is easily identifiable with the number of Mithun skulls which are displayed in front of the house. Here is the Ang of Mon village. And Ang is distinctive compared to the other Konyak Nagas because of this band which they tie below their knee. And this is an identity of the Ang. Some of the Ang, this Ang has got about 2 wives, 6 concubines, and about 30 children. And they have their wives and concubines sometimes spread out to other villages, which is in their own territory. Another attraction in the, how do you call it, the Konyak Nagas is the Morong. Morong is a youth dormitory which is known as a gathering place for the male Konyak Naga members, where before they go into a hunting expedition or a warfare, or this is also the place which is more like an informal school where they learn oral tradition of their ancestors. They learn basic skills like basket making, then weapon making, and so on. And these morongs are known for these beautiful sculptures. And also they have display of this morong in Mon village has got display of tusker, the ivory from the elephants which they had hunted about in the 1960s and 50s and so on. And every morong will have this long drum over here. This long drum, as I told you earlier, is used for communication. And there are 2 villages nearer to in Mon district, which is known as Wanching and Wakching village. These 2 villages are known for these morongs with some beautiful wood carving, like they display about their ancestral origin myths and so on, and they got the long drum. And this morong in Wanching village has got a sculpture, wooden sculpture of the bombers from World War II, what the elders had seen them from ground level. And there are these interesting large wooden doors which are not in use anymore. Nobody makes it anymore. And the other type of cultivation is known as Zoom cultivation, which is shifting agriculture, where they clear one portion of forest on the hilly track, they cultivate it for a period of about 10 years and go to the next portion. Now, as they go on a cycle, when they come back to this portion after about 50 years, it will be again a forest. So they burn down the forest, and the ashes form as a nutrient for the soil, and they cultivate it. Then they make these small huts in their land, and these huts are meant for the men or the women who are taking care of the crops during the cultivation cycle. And please remember, no land is privately owned in among the tribal communities in Northeast. It is collectively owned. It belongs to a community. It belongs to a particular village or a group of village which comes under a particular Ang and under his jurisdiction. Now here, this is something which you could see in every day, where they go collect from their vegetables and bamboo. They collect from their agricultural land and come here. You could see a mother at the background, led by the daughter, accompanied by the son. They're coming back home, collecting yam from the forest. Here are young girls carrying water, drinking water is being carried on these large hollow bamboo poles. And again, the children take care of their own young. Here are Konyak women who are weaving. And this loom, which you have seen, the Konyak loom or the looms you see, these are portable looms. It is the women fold it across and they can carry it when they go and keep a watch in the field. So they can do this weaving whether they are in home in their free time or when they are sitting in the field watching over the crops. This is the other village, Wakching village, where you got this painted morong. And in this village, in this morong, the star highlight is this painted long drum. This was done in 1975. There's another Morong which was done in 1979, the interior of the Morong. Every Naga tribe, every man has got these musket rifles in their homes. And they also have, among the Konyak Nagas, they are famous for gunsmiths. Now, here is a gunsmith you could see in Tang village. It's also known as Tanginu village. Now, many of these Konyak Nagas, they come to this gunsmith to get their guns repaired. And these are not the modern guns with the loading bullet and uh, these are the muskets from the British time. So then this gunsmith is with much demand in this region, and his main job is to repair the mechanism and to also replace the wooden portions of this particular rifles. And these rifles are used only for hunting. They are not as used against the security forces or or the government and so on. Please don't get scared on this thing. See, the Konyak Nagas, the main purpose of visiting, many of the tourists who visit this region is to see these men, the tattooed men who are headhunters. Men who are tattooed among the Konyak Nagas were warriors who had taken the head of their enemies during their raids. Head meaning human head, I mean to say, ladies and gentlemen. This was a tradition among the Naga community, and one of the last Naga groups to abandon this particular headhunting ritual were the Konyak Nagas. They are the only group of people where you could see the headhunters still living. And many of these headhunters are 70 plus or in age. And they get their face tattooed after every headhunting expedition. And this one was banned by the British. So they started to make a mock headhunting and they used to get themselves tattooed. The tattooing tradition was there among the women also, but not on their faces, but on their body. The women used to tattoo themselves during marriage and childbirth and so on. And also the missionaries started to force the Naga men not to tattoo themselves because they started to propagate that tattooing is a sin. So finally, the Nagas, Konyak Nagas have stopped tattooing. These are the only few old men who are headhunters, former headhunters, are doing it. And please remember, headhunting was not done for pleasure. Nobody got any pleasure in killing their fellow men. It was mainly done when there was a gross negligence of traditional hunting, agricultural rights of given members. So at that time, and they used to not go headhunting or have warfare against the same clan members or the same family members. It'll be with the other clan. And when they come into a negotiation, and in the traditional way, when they come into a negotiation, what happens is both the parties have to bite the earth so that they keep up the word. Once somebody bites the earth, it means that they have to keep up the word. If they don't, they have again trespassed with the peace treaty. They will be banished from their respective village. Now here is another elderly man. Now here you notice this generation of Konyak Nagas were having these large board earrings. And this particular person, you can see him, one of his ear, that is on his right ear, he uses bamboo. And on his left ear, he uses a cartridge of a rifle. And what they used to do is they used to use this particular basket with the head of a monkey and the tusk of wild boar to carry the heads and bring it back home to their village. Earlier, these were displayed in their homes and in the entrance of the villages, but later on, the administration told them to take this away and bury it in a spot. Now they have buried in places like this kind of mound in the village. In the center, you could see near the Morong, where you can still see that there are some skulls which are visible, but most of it they have buried it as a mound like this. Later generation headhunters, they do not tattoo themselves, but as a mark of a headhunter, they will have a necklace with a skull of a monkey, like this gentleman over here. Now, the final attraction in the Mon region is Lungua Village. Lungua Village is in the extreme north portion of Mon district. This village is interesting village because the Ang, the chief, the king of the village, his house is on the Indo-Myanmar border. That is, his bedroom is in Myanmar and his fireplace is in India. It is a porous border where this Ang has got wives in both Myanmar and in India. Because, as I told you earlier, the Konyak Nagas are spread out even in Myanmar region, and they do trade. They go, they travel to those villages during festivals and so on. This is the Ang whose house is there in Lungua Village. This is a gentleman. He claims to have 80 wives spread across villages in India and in Burma. I don't know how far is it true because I met him thrice. Every time he maintains the same thing. But in this house where he lives, there are only 5 wives. So jokingly asking him, he says, no, 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 these 5 are part of the 80 wives. So this Ang right now he is very much familiar with tourists visiting the place because of the exotic location on of his house, which is on the border of India and Myanmar. And some of the collection in his house is this World War II bombarder's seat on the left you could see, which was given to him as a gift by one of the traders who came from Myanmar, a Konyak Naga trader who had come from Myanmar. And here you could see shields and then the Mithun Hills. And this particular Ang's house is also known for its large sculptures on the large pillars over here. Like this particular sculpture, you notice here is the depicting them carrying firewood from the forest and sharing a rice beer. And this Ang is very familiar with the tourists that he has got a display of Konyak Naga artifacts which you can buy it from him. And here is a view of Myanmar from the Ang's house. So this is it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, Hari sir. Thank you very much. So, Hari sir, I would like to add one more thing. When I visited Nagaland last year, we had tasted that dried apple. It's like a candy. It's good in taste, and it's very organic. I mean, it's very natural, and it's the person who was guiding me. He said, "Okay, this is very healthy, and this gives a kind of instant energy. So keep munching it while you are exploring the city or exploring the
Yes.
areas." So it was in a like you won't be feeling like drinking more water all the time, but then it was, I mean, completing that kind of this water thirsty thing. So that was one thing i I felt like I should add it. And everything, every chapter you have covered. And the interesting part for the women, when they go to Nagaland, the ornaments, the jewelry, the women they use in Nagaland, it's very interesting.
Yeah, yeah, that's what. Now, as I told you, there is a big market now.
Yes,
And see, these are, you don't find the old beads. Now, the bazaar, it's more like the plastic replicas have been made.
exactly, exactly. Authentic traditional thing is not. I mean, they have got replicas, so I mean, those were very expensive, but they those goes very well with their attire, the kind of dresses they wear with that, the
Yes.
jewelry. In their marriage also they said ki they wear that kind of ornaments. So those people with different, very unique kind of beads they use. So that's very vibrant in color, and that goes with, I mean, various attire. So that was one thing very nice. I thought I should add it. And apart from this, Ajay sir, do you want to say something?
After Mr. Hari, you can't speak because he don't leave anything for you.
Yes,
He
after Hari sir.
covered every part, every the things, even the history, culture, dresses, food, flora and fauna. So everything is covered by him. And last year I was also there for 3 days during ITM. Yeah, that time I was lucky to see that festival. But what I realized today, we left many things during that visit. which is now covered by Mr. Hari. So it's a wonderful, really wonderful presentation, and I think people will love to watch this, the webinar on our YouTube channel of Ministry of Tourism, and also it will be, the historical knowledge for the young generation. So the thanks, Hariji, thanks for a wonderful presentation. And the next Saturday again, we will love to see your webinar. So it is amazing.
Before that, I would also want to know, Hari sir, if you
Yeah,
can
please.
suggest for a decent, good holiday for Nagaland. I mean, how many days it should be there? I mean, we plan for.
See,
There are so
Nagaland.
much.
The
We can't have
challenge
so.
is
Yes.
challenge is the travel duration. The travel duration you have to do by road. If you want to, for instance, you have to visit. You want to visit Mon region. You need to at least have a minimum of 5 days, and have to keep 1 day buffer because number one, climatic conditions will cause cancellation of flights and so on. That is a challenge. And Hornbill, it is ideal that you need to keep 2 weeks because you cannot miss any activity on the 10 days of Hornbill Festival. And apart from that, you need to also give some time for you to explore places south of Kohima.
Okay.
So many people do that. What they do is they spend about more than about, they take 10 days. They keep either the beginning or the end portion of Hornbill Festival. They will participate in the visit the festival. And the other portion, they do trekking in south of Kohima region, in Kohima district. So that is something they do. And please remember, during Hornbill Festival, you have to book your accommodation and everything
That
much in
is
advance
a challenging thing because
because all hotels, homestays are packed. Today it is so packed that there are companies now, the government has come up with campsites near the Naga Heritage Village and the Naga Heritage Village on the other side so that it can facilitate the younger travelers who don't mind camping outdoor because
we
I personally have seen, I have spent 2 nights during the Hornbill Festival in a Maruti Eco car. Not just me, myself, my three friends. We went on a documentation for a series of documentaries for a Tamil channel over here. So that time we could not get any accommodation because those guys they did it in the last moment. Though my friend is a tour operator, he tried to get it, but only for a brief period because they had booking prior. But that was a good advantage because we could meet quite a few people, go to villages which were not in the tourist circuit, learn to quite a few things. And please, one more thing, insurgency is no more. Because please don't worry about it. Nagaland is safe to travel. And at least in the last 7 years, I've been hearing about how the roads have improved. And also, when I had been there and interacting with the youth, nobody wants to take up arms. They
So
all
the
want to be part of the development.
exactly that is what we also found when we visited Nagaland.
Because interestingly, Nagaland right now is home for some quite a few startups. There is one startup who are promoting cultivation of fruits. Their whole objective is to make Nagaland the fruit hub of India in the next 10 years
Okay.
without affecting their traditional farming.
So the person who want to travel Nagaland must contact the Mr. Hari Sravan. So Hariji, if you don't mind, just can you display your number for the the our audience so that they can have your number if they want any assistance in future they can contact you.
So, do I put it in chat? Yeah.
And one more thing, those who want to visit Nagaland, I mean, not during the Hornbill Festival, that's a small suggestion that try to stay in the homestays in Nagaland.
Yes.
They have come up with very beautiful homestays, and I mean, with their authentic tradition, culture, the cuisine, and the kind of people they are. So it's the very best way to get to know.
Just announce your telephone number so that it will be in record and the
My
people.
Yes.
my number is 94450078824. You want to travel in Northeast? Do let me know. I'll be more obliged to help you out. And see, you need to give time over there because that is an experience which is, I'm sorry, I'm not able to do justice in 1 hour. It is not, photographs don't do justice, videos also. You have to be there.
True,
The
very true.
hospitality of the people, the landscape, their cultural heritage is
Yes.
something which is new to many Indians. For me, being an anthropologist, it's a different story. But even for me, it was something like, for me, when I spend time in Northeast India, it is like missing my grandmother's home in my native village. Being an urbanite, that's what I felt when I am
That's wonderful.
every time I'm in Northeast India.
So beautifully explained.
So that's the bottom line I can share with you. And people are very hospitable. They go out of their way. A friend of mine had made a pan-India journey on their SUV way back in 2012. They were passing through one of the districts in Nagaland at evening. One man stopped them, a local village person stopped them, told them it's not safe to travel overnight, took them to his home, posted them over there, and sent them only next day morning at 6 o'clock. And he did not sleep the whole night, supposedly, because he thought that these people, if they sleep, they may take the car and they will go on traveling. Just imagine this particular village's responsibility that these people have come to my place. I don't want any untoward incident happen to them. So
What
he
a
made
great
sure that
hospitality.
he did not let them go. They said that they are on a schedule. They traveled across India. That is the four corners across India. They traveled for about 3 months. Four people traveled over there. Among them, there was one lady. So this guy made sure, no, if you guys are there, there's a different story. I can at least rethink. But with the
Yes.
lady, I won't let you.
They have
That is the people of
respect
North.
towards the woman. Yes, that is
Yeah.
one.
For instance, everywhere I've seen any Adivasi group, we have read so much about them thanks to Bollywood and the popular culture that they are barbaric and so on. They are not. They are the sweetest people. They
Yes,
are
very
first, at first, they are reluctant to interact with you because you are an outsider naturally. But they know who you are, why you have come over there. It is a lifelong friendship you have.
true, very true.
Even now, they give a call saying that when are you coming back? I tell them, see, it is like that is the kind of relationship which goes on.
Yes,
That's
very
So
wonderful. So the next Saturday we will meet again and with a beautiful topic about the Northeast and our, this
we are going
Hariji
to visit
will be
Arunachal Pradesh.
again our speaker.
Yeah, we are going to visit Arunachal Pradesh with Hari sir
yeah,
next week.
we'll be visiting Arunachal next week, and I hope today there was no technical glitch.
No,
No,
there
no, no,
was
not at all. It was wonderful.
the
Okay,
voice
that's great.
was
That's great.
voice quality,
Because
audio
I had to
quality.
go fast, Matushiji, because I had to
Yes,
keep the tab on the time. That's the only thing.
yes.
Anyway, thank you
So
all.
that
Thank you for this
yes, sir.
opportunity.
Thank
Very
you
much.
all.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Ajay sir. Thank you, Hari sir, and thank you, audience, to be with us for today and listening to the session, having the digital journey of Nagaland. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope to see you next week again. So the same time, same day. So at 11 o'clock, be ready. We will meet again. So stay tuned. Till then, enjoy your weekend. Have a nice day.